Hi everybody, welcome to the Wits Students Physician Society YouTube channel. My name is Roiz and I'm head of events for the year.
And I'm Adonia and I'm the president this year. We made this video just to hopefully provide some guidance and just direction with what the GEMP program is at Wits and how it works. We've invited a few of our peers to just share their stories on how they got into medicine. So we hope you enjoy.
So what is the GEMP program, the Wits GEMP program? The GEMP program is the Graduate Entry Medical Program that allows students to fulfill any type of undergraduate provided that they meet certain requirements, and if their application is successful, they get to join the third year MBBCH students at Wits.
So we are only students, so I just want to preface the video with that. All the information that we are sharing is either from our own experiences or information we found on the website. So if you have any specific queries, please contact Wits faculty or consult the website, because that's where you can get the most accurate information from. So this year the applications have opened already. They opened on the 1st of March and they close on the 30th of June, so make sure you apply before then. The applications are an undergraduate application, so many people get confused because for you it is a postgraduate degree. However, you apply as an undergraduate and you select the course code, which is MFAOO, and you select year of study 3. And that will be your way of doing the GEMP program since you do join the third year med students. When you apply, you will need your academic transcripts that are certified. If you've graduated already your degree, you'll also need a proof of payment and obviously complete the application. For international students, it's more or less the same process. However, you should consult the international relations. We'll also put that information in the description below. And it is important to note that no extracurriculars count for this application. It is solely based on your academics.
So what are the requirements for the GEMP program? You're going to need to have at least a 50% aggregate in a first year biology undergraduate course, as well as a 50% aggregate in a first year undergraduate chemistry and physics course. For your physics and chemistry courses, these may either be full year subjects or half year courses. If you are relying on matric level maths and English for your application, please include your matric certificate in your application process. You're going to need at least a 60% matric level maths and English course, English as either a home language or first additional language. However, if you've done these courses at a university level, you need to have at least a 50% average in these courses. For international students, you're going to need to have the equivalent levels in either your IELTS or your GCSEs. The GEMP program doesn't require you to submit any NBT results. However, at the time of your application submission, you have to have met all the requirements for the GEMP program. If you do not have some of the prerequisites mentioned, you can complete these courses via the Wits Plus application process.
So once you complete these prerequisite requirements, what Wits looks at is your academic rating. So your academic rating is an average of your last 2 years of study. So if you have a 3-year undergraduate degree, your second and third year will contribute towards your academic rating. They take these 2 years and their averages. If you do postgraduate, you can get an extra point and then you'll have your postgraduate marks plus your third year of study, and that's how it works more or less. And then this academic rating will determine your chances in getting into the program. Make sure your academic rating is as high as possible because it really is a tough program to get into. The number of spaces are limited and dependent on the year of study. So it depends on the third years, how many of them fail, and how many second years have passed into the program. Usually the spots are about 100, but it does vary. We hope that we have helped you with your applications and just provided some guidance on what is needed in the applications and what your academic rating is and all that information that can be a bit confusing. We've invited a few third year medical students who are GEMP 1 students now to share their stories. They've just recently gone through the GEMP application process and they are in their GEMP 1 year of study or third year of study, and I hope their stories are inspirational or just provide some guidance for everyone in their application processes, because they've all gone through different tracks, different degrees, and all landed up on the same path.
Okay, my name is James Ishwood, and I'm a GEMP 1 student.
My name is Matt. I'm also a GEMP 1 student.
And with our GEMP process, we share a similar pathway, except I'm 1 year older than him. I finished physiotherapy in 2022, so I started in 2019. I got into GEMP. I wrote the WAPT in 2022, my final year of physio. I got in the same year, 2022, and then I asked the faculty if I could hold my spot, or if they could hold my spot for me, so I could do my community service for physiotherapy. And then I've taken up my spot this year in 2024.
Similar journey. So as James said, I started in 2020 with physiotherapy, finished in 2023. I wrote the WAPT in September of 2023.
Hi, I'm Charles Murray Hoffmeyer, and I'm currently doing my third year in medicine, first year GEMP. And my short journey, I previously started with biomedical, and then I swapped over to health system sciences. So it ended up with me having to only write MolMed, the component for the WAPT. I exempted the physiology and the anatomy. Was a heck of a stressful journey, but I'm here now, and I'm suffering even more, but I'm having fun.
Hi, I'm Nicola Mills, and I'm a medicine year 3 student, or GEMP 1 student. Came into the GEMP program. I have an undergrad in biochemistry and genetics from UCT, as well as a postgrad in a PGCE in education. I worked for the past 6 years, and now I'm here, and this is where I've always wanted to be. I'm absolutely loving it. It was a very hard journey to get here, but I'm just so grateful that I'm here now.
Hi, my name's Amber Tamlin. I'm currently a third year medical student. I began my journey doing biomedical sciences, and then I did honours in pharmacology. It was a hard journey with a lot of anxiety and fear of the future, but I'm so happy to be here now.
You obviously apply in your final year of study, or the year before you want to start GEMP. So both Matt and I, although different years, we applied in our final year. I think you have to apply by the end of March. And then by June, you hear back if you've met the prerequisites to write the WAPT, which is the Wits Additional Placement Test. Those prerequisites differ amongst non-Wits or Witsies applying to the program. But then in June, you hear back if you write the WAPT, and generally the WAPT is around mid to late September. I think mine on the 21st or 22nd of September. You wrote the WAPT. Again, it's different for Witsies versus non-Witsies, and depending on what degree you're from, it's on 3 subjects: MolMed, Anat, and Physiology. Again, Matt and I were both lucky to exempt anatomy and physiology in our second year, so we only had to write molecular medicine. So I wrote that section, or that part of the paper, in September, and then they get back to you within, I think, 4 weeks after the test to say that you've passed. And passing doesn't necessarily mean you're in GEMP, that just means you've met all of the prerequisites now.
So my application process, being a non-Wits student and doing my undergrad studies quite a few years ago, was a little bit different to everyone else's. The actual process was the same, but I think the waiting times differed a little bit. I got my notification to write the GEMP a little bit later, so I got my notification to write in only July. But as soon as I had decided to apply for the GEMP, I had made the changes necessary in my life. So I had to resign from my job, and I had to work out a term's notice. So I put my application for GEMP in on the weekend, and by the next weekend I'd resigned. And it was kind of like, in terms of a backup plan, I always knew there was going to be a backup plan, but I was always going to put my all into getting in. Like, I was going to just give myself the best shot possible. Like, third time lucky, we're going to do this. And I did. And I had a backup plan. In the interim, while I was waiting to find out if I had passed the GEMP, I worked for the family company. So I was in charge of marketing, media, a whole lot of things. And it was a nice change. But ultimately, at the end of the day, GEMP was what I wanted. And if that didn't happen, I would have gone back into teaching and just looked for an appropriate role for me at wherever the next place was. But I think I would have stayed at the family company just for a little bit, just for a nice change of scenery.
So as far as I'm aware, you don't necessarily have to do a BHSC, as both James and I didn't. We did physiotherapy. I know a few people in our class did other degrees such as OT, pharmacy, pharmacology, speech, etc. There's also students who did PGSEs, so postgraduate certificates in education, So they didn't take the BHSC route, so you don't necessarily have to take a BHSC route. With regards to any student being able to apply, yes, you can, as long as you've got first year level physics, chemistry, or mathematics, as well as biology. So I know a few people did these as postgraduate short courses and then applied. The most important thing though is there's a new requirement that these marks have to be 70% or higher when you apply.
Yeah, so if you do biomedical sciences at Wits, you already do anatomy, molecular medicine, and physiology with the med students in their classes. So you just have to get an average of 60% at the end of the year, and then you don't have to write the WAPT exam, which is lovely.
Along with your academic rating, you're also going to need to have the knowledge of a second-year medical student when getting into GEMP 1. This is where the WAPT exam comes in. The WAPT exam is an entrance exam that comprises of the second-year medical subjects at Wits, which include anatomy, physiology, and molecular medicine. To qualify for the WAPT exam, you're going to need to have a 70% average as a graduate for the past 2 years of your undergrad course, or if you're applying in third year, a 70% average for your second year of study. The WAPT exam is a pass or fail exam, and you can exempt from certain components of this exam. If you do qualify to exempt, Wits will notify you of this. All of the exams, content, as well as the objectives for each component can be found on the university website, and this year the provisional date for the WAPT exam is on the 3rd of September 2024.
So it starts off with how is the exam. I suppose it's like any other exam. Depends on how well you prepare, but there will be some parts of it, always is some parts of the exam that may not be in what you've covered really well, so it might be stressful at times, but that's all part of the process. In terms of preparing and when to start preparing, there's no real time, but earlier is better, and it also depends on where you're coming from. Are you studying in the year that you're applying, or are you in a gap year when you're applying? How much time do you have? And that just comes down to time management and discipline, which I'm sure we'll speak about later in terms of tips. But I've started my preparations for molecular medicine in about May. Luckily, there's a lot of people that want to help you and support you through the process, and there's lots of resources. There's no need to buy textbooks or buy any lectures from anyone. There's so many resources and summaries, and I just used those from about April of the year I wrote to September when I wrote. And how was MOMED? Again, it depends on how well you prepare. I thought I prepared very well, but there were still some tricky, nasty questions. But I'm here now, so I suppose preparing well doesn't do the job.
Yeah, as James said, the earlier the better. I think I also started very early in the year, considering physio is quite a difficult degree and you're doing clinical rotations and you've got clinical written exams. If you are coming from that route, it's quite important to try and balance your time, try to start as early as possible. I think I started in March even. Literally after I applied, I was like, I may as well start studying. As James said, there's lots of resources available. There's a group called AMPT for WAPT that I joined. They're very helpful. Lots and lots of resources, and lots of people wanting to assist each other to get through the exam. MOLMED is a difficult subject. Just put your head down, be determined, believe in yourself, and you've got this. But some of the questions were definitely difficult.
In terms of the preparation, I left MOLMED to last because my degree was in biochemogenetics, and all the content that was covered there, except for specifics of cancer and certain HIV drugs, I pretty much was confident in. And I used the textbook, which is Human Anatomy and Physiology by Maribin Keller. I've still got it, and it's still my Bible. I absolutely love that book, and it literally got me through WAPT, from the diagrams, the explanations, the fact that it couples the physiology and anatomy so nicely together. That really helped me. In terms of the actual WAPT, it's long. Like, be prepared, have a good breakfast. I couldn't eat before. I was so stressed, it was ridiculous. I don't think I ate the week before the WAPT. But It's long. So you write all 3 papers. Each paper is 1 hour and 10 minutes. So you're sitting there for a good 3 hours and 40 minutes minimum, because then you still have to add on the time before and the time for collection. So I wrote the whole time. Anatomy and physiology, I feel, was very fair. It stuck quite well to the objectives, so you could adequately prepare for that. When it came to the molecular medicine, I was so surprised, and I honestly walked out going, jeepers, I can't not get into medicine by failing the molecular medicine side of WAPT. Like, I have a degree in this, but I think because there was no set resource and the objectives were very vague in that they didn't give you the specifics to go into in terms of very much genetic concepts. And they kind of said, no, don't focus on this. And then the whole of the first page of WAPT was what they told you not to focus on. That kind of threw me a bit. But I think if you follow the objectives closely, and if you can, guys, just find the groups. Because I never had that, and I think it would have saved me a lot of stress and trouble if I had other people to speak to and other resources to work from previous people that have been through this journey. But if you are looking for a textbook, Human Anatomy and Physiology by Marie Keller is great.
My second year in HSS, I ended with an average of 78.3, so just 78. And then my third year, I ended with, if I recall, 83. So that meant my aggregate score that I was applying to GEMP with was around 81%.
It all depends on how my marks were calculated in terms of my PGCE. I finished my undergrad with an average of about 76, but I got a very high 90 for my PGCE. So if that averaged us, I would have been going in with around an 81, 82%. Yeah.
So when I did biomed, I was rejected with a 75, but when I did honours, I got 77, and then you do get an extra point for doing an honours degree, which means it would be 78.
Academic transcripts, to my knowledge, is a very pretty report that certifies your results and that they are results corresponding to the exact course you did, and you get them from your administrative department within your faculty.
So obviously the PGCE is a very different degree. It is generally a 2-year postgraduate, but I did it in 1 year because UCT's PGCE is 1 year. I also didn't do high school level PGCE. I did intermediate phase for my own personal reasons. So the content and the transition in terms of the learning areas and stuff is very different. But my undergraduate, I did physiology, I did biochemistry, I did genetics. So there are many components of that in medicine that I think had prepared me for the preparations for the WAPT and that overall degree transition. Challenge-wise, it's definitely been a thing of, and even with the WAPT, learning how to study again and learning how to study for something that is so different. With the PGCE, as long as you're understanding, applying, and showing that you can teach and that you have those skills, you're generally okay. In terms of content-heavy studying, it's not really there. So that was a major transition, and obviously something that really impacted me in terms of preparing for the WAPT.
Our perspective from physiotherapy, it was a bit different as to what a BSUC or the most common applicant would experience. Our final years of physiotherapy, year 3 and 4, were majority clinical based. So we were in the hospital in third year from 8 until 12 in the morning, and then in fourth year, pretty much the whole day. So we gained a lot of advantages in comparison to other applicants in the aspect or in the term of seeing what is meant in our lectures, seeing what our lectures are really like in real life. And now we're back in the classroom, which is pros and cons, I suppose. But doing physiotherapy, I think, and without bias, I think it really helps us in terms of having an advantage and having confidence.
So basically, the Bachelor of Health Sciences has 3 different tracks. I did the biomedical route, which essentially means I'm doing all the same subjects as the med students. I'm in their classes, which means you don't have to write the WAPT, which is obviously great. It's different for the other 2 tracks. Biomed, I know, has a lot of options which you can do honours. So if you don't get into GEMP the first time, there are a lot of good honours options. One of them being Pharm, which, by the way, has some of the highest intake for GEMP. So if you're looking for an honours, Pharm is really good.
Regarding HSS, it's not very similar to some of the other tracks because it's very writing intensive. So the first year is standard across all of the tracks, if I recall, with your physics and your chemistry and so on. But from second year onwards, you get 2 modules, which is public health and then health system sciences, the actual core module. And it's very cool, to say the least, to see how some of the work I've done there actually pops up quite a lot. And it's very writing intensive course as well. So with HSS, you would write a lot about yourself in the medical field. Then you would learn a lot about policy making, and you'd learn a lot about just the fundamental systems of what makes up health systems, all from small rural areas to district levels. But I will say it was very helpful in understanding a lot of core concepts. And just regarding intake, we've got a very high amount that come just straight from the undergrad. I think I recall more than 8 or 9 people from my class that I can still see, excluding myself. But then even if you don't get in the honours options available to HSS, the 2 popular ones were CMID and forensic pathology. And those are also very good options to get into GEMP as well.
Your application, as mentioned previously, the university should get back to you by June and let you know whether you've been accepted to write the WAPT or not. And then in that letter, they'll tell you the date, as well as whether or not you've exempted any of the 3 components of the exam.
Undergraduate application. However, if you have postgrad qualifications, it does add extra percentages or points to your application.
I'd say probably try and find a really good support structure. Try and find people who are willing to support you and people who are willing to keep encouraging you through this journey, because at times you are going to doubt yourself, you are going to doubt the journey. You're going to wonder, are these long sleepless nights worth it? But it is. I was fortunate in that James had been through the process a year before me. So I relied quite heavily on James, and James did make sure that I was constantly hitting the goals that I'd set for myself, and constantly following up with me and ensuring that I am on par. And that's what I would say, just have a good support structure.
And as Matt was saying, hitting your goals, making goals for yourself and controlling the controllables will help a lot. So those controllables could be your time management, your discipline, and your attitude. You're going to be stressing about, I need to get the biggest mark out of everyone that's applying. And there's going to be a day that you get 67, 62% for a test and you think, the race is done, I'm out. And that's where your attitude really needs to switch and focus and become even better. With your discipline and your time management, you're going to need to know what contributes to what adds to your chance of getting in and what takes away from it. And with time management, there's going to be a time where you have an assignment or a presentation or a test even on a Monday, and that's out of your control. As I said, controllables. And if it's out of your control, and this teacher's put a test or a presentation on Monday, and you have to go visit your grandfather in hospital on a Sunday, the Sunday before, or it's your girlfriend's birthday or your sister's birthday, those things are out of your control. So the way you time manage yourself and the way you discipline yourself will put you in good stead.
I'll say before, like when you're still in the process of applying for GEMP, definitely your time management, definitely know realistically what you're looking at with your marks, and then also if you are going to write certain components of the WAPT, please start early, don't start late, because it is the most stressful thing imaginable as well, especially if suddenly, it's a month before and you haven't gone over nearly half the content, it eats at you. Then after, when you get into GEMP itself, don't be shy to actually speak to people and make new friends. People don't bite. And it's also just good to still keep up your time management, because the type of work you do is also very different compared to what you prepare for WAPT as well. So prepare for a transition phase, but no, overall that's all I would say. I'm still going through it myself, so I hope I can listen to my own advice.
You need to manage your time effectively and start early. I started in April, and still 2 weeks before that WAPT, I was a ball of nerves and I knew exactly what I was going to get through and exactly what I wasn't going to be able to get through. So manage your time effectively, have realistic expectations, and know what you want and what you want to achieve. Work towards that, but also know on the back what you're going in with. That is also very important, so that you also prepare yourself for the good and possibly the bad. But overall, it's an awesome journey and it is so rewarding no matter which route it goes.
I think I'd like to touch on the emotional side, as my colleagues touched on the academic. You know, the journey to GEMP is a hard one. You're constantly comparing yourself to others. There's anxiety, uncertainty about the future. You don't know what comes next. But I think just keep reminding yourself that rejection sucks, but it's okay. You can get up again and try again next time. You know, I always say, at the end of the day, you're going to be 30 anyway. So you can either be 30 doing something you love or be 30 wishing you had done medicine. So keep trying, keep going. You know, if one door closes, something will open up for you. So keep trying.
Good luck, everyone. Back yourself.
Thank you guys so much for watching this YouTube video. We hope that it was informative and that the stories shared were inspiring and help you along your journey to get into medicine.
Yes, and all the information that we did mention is on the Wits website. We'll put the link down below. Also, there's contact details for the international office and faculty, so we'll also put those email addresses in our description of this video. We also have a few other GEMP videos that we've done in previous years. Most of the information is basically the same, so if you'd like to watch those for other stories and just other information, we'll also link those down below.
If you enjoyed this YouTube video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the Wits Students Physician Society YouTube channel, and follow us on our Instagram for regular updates on our events, workshops, and additional GEMP content throughout the year. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment them down below, and in our own capacity, we'll try our best to help you out and answer as many questions as we can.
Good luck to everyone on the applications. We hope to see you soon on campus.